6 p.m. in Bafia, that's in Mokuyuka subdivision for co-division of the southwest region of Cameroon. It is same time in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television with me, Armstrong Sander. In our top stories tonight, tragedy strikes Ndokpasi, a neighborhood in the city of Douala, with an 11-year-old child brutally murdered by the uncle in a shocking family dispute. A disturbing tale of violence and a grief that unfolds as a phone theft dispute ends in a devastating loss. We'll tell you more on this in this edition of the news, and also to say that the indomitable Lions of Cameroon are gearing up for the crucial FIFA series despite the absence of key players like Brian Mbeumo and Andre Onana. The new-looking squad is eager to impress the coach and other officials of the national men's football team in the Republic of Cameroon. These stories and more will be yours in this edition of the news. Welcome. You are on to the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. We live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, Equinoxe Central News Desk. Thanks for choosing to be informed by the best of television network across Cameroon and the Central African sub-region. Now we're starting on the economy. Cameroon is playing host to several economic personalities from across the globe, the African continent, Europe, and also Asia, as well as other parts of the world. And Nigerian-born Ngozi has indicated, who is the Director General of the World Trade Organization, says presiding over the World Trade Organization's ministerial conference in Yaoundé is an important opportunity for the nation Cameroon, but also for Africa. She says, as the first woman to have held this prestigious position, it is also an honor for Africa to see it on the African soil. We have details with the portrait of her who spoke in the opening session in Yaoundé today. In the following report compiled by staff lady Annabella.
Born on June 13, 1954 in the Delta State of Nigeria, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is a Nigerian-American economist and international development expert who is serving as the 7th Director General of the World Trade Organization since March 2021. She made history as the first woman and first African to lead the organization. Ngozi Okonjo previously served as Nigeria's finance minister and spent 25 years at the World Bank, where she served as the managing director of operations. Ngozi Okonjo has led major economic reforms in Nigeria, including the much talked about debt relief. She was recognized by Forbes and Times magazines as one of the 100 most powerful women and most influential personalities in the world. The 72-year-old Ngozi, now director of the World Trade Organization, is known and respected for her work on economic reform and international trade. She is an author of many books and other publications. A graduate from the prestigious Harvard University in the US of A, Ngozi Okonjo also holds a PhD in regional economics and development. This phenomenal lady from Africa is the one presiding over the ongoing World Trade Organization Ministerial Conference in Yaoundé, Cameroon, attended by several ministers and diplomats across the world. She is doing that in her capacity as the General Director, the highest position of the organization.
That's the profile of the person that heads the well-recognized World Trade Organization, equally respected by several countries. And I will go into the details of the event in Cameroon to say that at a time when global trade is facing challenges such as rising tensions and uncertainty, attention turns to the World Trade Organization's conference in the nation Cameroon, the body at the heart of international commerce and what countries like Cameroon stand to gain. Innocent Azé in the following report looks at the key functions of the World Trade Organization and the benefits of over 160 member countries. This is the trade ministers have begun their meeting in Yaoundé, as we told you. His report.
Created in 1995 to replace the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, the World Trade Organization is the only global body responsible for regulating trade between nations, with 166 member states accounting for more than 98% of world trade. It provides a rules-based platform to ensure fairness and predictability. Operating from its headquarters in Geneva, the organization focuses on 4 key areas: negotiating trade agreements, settling disputes, monitoring national trade policies, and supporting developing countries through technical assistance. Through these mechanisms, the WTO reduces tariffs and trade barriers, making it easier and cheaper for goods and services to move across borders. It also offers a structured system for resolving disputes, helping countries avoid costly trade conflicts. For countries such as Cameroon, the benefits are substantial. Membership guarantees equal treatment under the most favored nation principle, improves access to global markets, and enhances economic growth. Developing nations also receive special support to strengthen their trade capacity and competitiveness. These advantages are now in sharp focus as trade ministers meet in Yaoundé for crucial discussions on reforming the global trade body. Chaired by WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the talks come at a time of rising global uncertainty marked by geopolitical tensions, fluctuating energy prices, and threats to food security. Analysts warn that failure to agree on reforms could weaken the WTO, pushing countries to establish alternative trade rules outside its framework. For Cameroon, the outcome of these discussions could be decisive in shaping its trade future within an increasingly complex global economy.
And we're still in business to talk about the drop in cocoa prices in Cameroon and the impact on the mentality of the many cocoa farmers across the country. The drop in the prices of cocoa beans has caused most of these farmers to consider leaving the sector, and some say they are simply demoralized. They believe that what they gain will not be commensurate to the sacrifices put in to the cocoa farming business. With the silence of the government of Cameroon, many of these farmers are now thinking of moving out of the sector, such as Romeo. Romeo is one of those young cocoa farmers who followed the government's advice to get into farming, particularly cocoa farming. In this report, Simat Njikan Gabriel followed Romeo, a young Cameroonian who now sees the business are not profitable, as was the case in the few months. We have details in his report.
Just like every other day, Romeo goes through this same exercise. Ties his machetes on his motorcycle. Like every other person in Loum, a locality in the Mongo division, Romeo is a farmer, and for him to reach his farmland, he covers a distance of more than 4 kilometers on a rugged road filled with potholes and sometimes muddy. We are finally at the farmland, which already tells you that Romeo is a cocoa farmer, and this morning he came a little bit late as many others had arrived before him. Smiling is the secret while working here. Even though hopes are already lost, he is one of the youths seduced by the price of cocoa beans and many adverts made by public authorities, like this video that was viral during the launch of the 2025-2026 cocoa season, which was posted on the page of the Ministry of Trade. The Minister of Agriculture and Trade were in Bankomo in the Central region, where the launch of the cocoa season was transformed into a political rally.
Camarades, Où sont donc les hommes? Je vois ces camarades militants du Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais.
For several years, Cameroon has experienced better prices at the cocoa sector, with a kilogram costing 8,000 francs CFA, but good things usually have their ends too. Since the start of 2026, the price of cocoa beans has dropped drastically, with many cocoa farmers forced to bring down their cocoa trees. As a result, Romeo is also discouraged. I am discouraged, demoralized, because I don't even know.
Je vais dire, je suis même seulement, je suis démoralisé à la limite même parce que je ne sais pas.
This is because the price, which was 8,000 francs CFA per kilogram, has fallen to 950 francs per kilogram, making many cocoa farmers to be left speechless. My parents once told me that coffee had a time when prices were good, and after the prices dropped drastically and they had to fell down the coffee trees, turning to cultivate cocoa. So I don't know if history is about repeating itself, because I have already lost hope in cultivating cocoa. What is even disturbing most is the money I borrowed from microfinance houses and meetings. Romeo is not the only one to have seen his destiny thwarted because of the drop in cocoa prices. The drop in cocoa prices is really disturbing us. The farm which we rented for 100,000 francs CFA was something given out at 200,000 to 300,000 francs. Now we can't make profit again with products to be bought. My meeting house is set to drag me to the brigade because I'm unable to pay money I borrowed to take care of my cocoa farm. I am just confused. When we speak like this, I'm sure government is listening and they know what to do to remedy the situation. Till date, the government that encouraged farmers into cultivating cocoa have remained quiet. The future of Romeo, who left his shoe-selling business and commissioned motorcycle rider to venture into cocoa, is now very uncertain.
And into news out of the Cameroonian frontiers, we feel that the deadly strike in Kenya, that is the deadly flood in Kenya, the military strikes in Iraq, and an internet blackout in Iran have all left a disturbing humanitarian crisis as well as a disturbing political situation across the African continent and the Middle East. In the following report, Leo Manyoru takes us to the separate incident.
In Nairobi, Kenya, people are worried as a dam southwest of the city is at risk of breaking. The Water Source Authority reported this week that the dam has reached its maximum capacity due to heavy rains. Residents of 6 neighborhoods, including Kibera slum, have been ordered to evacuate immediately for their safety. In Europe, at least 7 Iraqi soldiers were killed on Wednesday, March 25th, in an airstrike reportedly carried out by the United States. For over 2.5 years since the start of the war in Gaza, Iraq has tried to stay out of the regional conflict. However, the country continues to be caught in the middle of the ongoing tension between US, Israel, and Iran. Since the war began on February 28, Iran has been under digital blackout. The government has cut off most internet communication with the outside world and restricted international contact. The lack of information has caused great uncertainty as citizens cannot find out what is truly happening in the country or share their stories with the world.
Law Maniere with the separate international stories and the simultaneous impact, mainly devastating, raining from Kenya in Africa to Iraq in the Middle East and also Iran. Now, we take you on to sports to say that in the absence of some key players of the indomitable Lions of Cameroon like Brian Mbeumo, Carlos Baleba, Nou Tolo and Andre Onana, the new look senior men's football team of Cameroon will challenge Australia on Friday. The match that tells under the FIFA series will be that which Cameroon stands to project itself on the international scene, especially with the new team, a new team that is being reviewed in the following reports by sportsman Simatin Yukan Gabriel.
Cameroon's head trainer, Pagu David, invited in total 11 new players for the FIFA series. Amongst them, 4 are from the Elite One Championship. Conrad Mfanso of Panther of Ndé, Serge Nzomo Elundo of AS Fortuna, Mael Fernandez Monyebe, Gazelle FA, and Husseini Usmanu of Gazelle FA. With the team already fine-tuning the strategies for the game, Panther Sportif of Ndé's right back is happy representing the country for the first time. Just like any other player, I want to gain the trust of the coach and I will put in my best, so I will be given many other chances. It's a friendly atmosphere between the technical staff and players. Another player who was called was Angel Yonju, who continues his adventure within the different national selections. After playing for the Under-17, Under-20 and the Auxiliary Lions, the talented player is now witnessing his first call-up with the senior men's team. I'm so happy meeting with seniors whom I only watched during the AFCON. I enjoyed their game, and today I'm trying not to be tense because we have to be confident before our 2 games. The session was characterized with a lot of intensity and was fluid. I will have to give in my best. Among the new call-up from Europe by Pagu David is goalkeeper of US Boulogne, a second-tier outfit in France.
I think it was a moment I was expecting for a really long time. I worked really hard and waited really long time for it, but I never give up. I always work hard and expect for the best, and I'm really proud and happy today this moment has come true. I feel like the group is really strengthened and has a lot of quality. I think we have a good chance to do good results against Australia and China.
Many will also want to see the performance of James Eto, Lilian Jaw and Aaron Bibout, who will be having the baptism of fire this Friday when the Lions take on Australia at the approximately 83,500 capacity Accor Stadium in Sydney.
And before we take total leave of you, we take you on today's story as we told you in our top stories that a child of 11 has been brutally murdered by the uncle in the Dokpasi neighborhood of the city of Douala after a fight with the child's mother. The details is with our lady Malak Glory in the following report.
Just 11 months old, Amelie Ideli won't be celebrating her first birthday on April 14, 2026. Rather, preparations will be made for her burial. This is after she was brutally killed by a family member, her uncle, who, according to witnesses, strangulated her and kicked her away like a piece of trash. The act was done in the face of helpless family members, and despite their efforts to stop the suspected murderer, they were unable to save the life of the little girl. The criminal act took place at the residence of the victim's grandparents in the Dokpasi 3 neighborhood, Douala, precisely at a place called École Publique, Zone de Recasement. According to the mother of the victim, the death of her daughter resulted from a fight she had with the suspect for stealing her phone. She recounts the sad story of her brother-in-law's actions.
J'étais sur les escaliers derrière la maison, en train de faire la petite lessive avec ma belle-mère. Le criminel est arrivé disant qu'il veut causer avec ses parents. Il était recherché déjà parce que il a volé le téléphone de sa sœur. Sa maman lui a dit Si tu remets le téléphone là aujourd'hui, les poursuites seront arrêtées contre toi. C'est comme ça qu'il a ramassé l'enfant. Il a mis là sur son aisselle. Puis devant moi, il a cassé le cou de mon enfant. Il a lancé l'enfant, il a botté la tête de l'enfant, c'est cassé. Il a pris la fuite. J'ai crié.
The mother to the suspected murderer reveals different cases of violence perpetrated by his son. Sadly, she is not safe.
C'est toi qui es violent. Ton frère aîné, ils ont eu des problèmes. Il a fait la prison. Il l'avait condamné pour ça. Il est sorti. Malheureusement, il n'a pas changé. Moi-même, quand je faisais encore cette maison, j'étais derrière. C'était encore en chantier. Il est resté de la dalle. Là, il m'a envoyé le papa. Le papa est venu me casser le bras. Là. Ça faisait deuxième faute. Il dit que je l'ai arrêté même le temps. Là. Je l'ai enfermé à Douala. Un jour, je ne sais pas quel problème il a eu avec son cadet, celui qui le suit directement. Il sort le couteau, il met à son frère derrière la tête. C'est là où j'ai fait la plainte.
The suspect is currently on the run as investigations have been launched to track him down. Meantime, family members now live in fear. This comes to add to the long list of infanticide in a country lately. The family of Idelite, just like other parents in the same situation, are calling on the authorities to ensure justice is served.
Justice indeed should be served for the young girl of just 11. Now, coming up is talking point. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us on Talking Points. Tonight we are receiving a well-known political figure and a celebrated human rights defender, Barrister Tamfo Richard, is joining us live from his chambers in the heart of the city of Douala. Good evening, Barrister. Thanks for accepting to be guest on Talking Points tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Armstrong. It's always a pleasure for me to be on your platform.
Barrister, with you, we want to find out what the law actually says regarding the yet another extension of the mandate of members of parliament in Cameroon. This will be the second time their mandate is being extended after they were voted in 2020, and among Cameroonians, they have been asking the question if this yet another extension of the mandate is within the confines of the law or it is legal.
There are some serious reasons for doing so. So legally speaking, there is no issue. We know that the mandate of parliamentarians is for 5 years. And when it is due, elections have to be organized. And the last parliamentary election we had was in 2020. So under normal circumstances, it was to expire in 2025. But you remember that it was postponed by the President of the Republic. And I think that postponement was to be due in March 2026. And we have still witnessed another prorogation from the President of the Republic. It is within his powers as the head of state and head of the executive. So by so doing, he just tells us that he's making a mastery of his prerogatives. And, you know, he's the one that determines the electoral calendar. So definitely, even if he has those powers, he may want to maneuver it to the detriment of Cameroonians. It is legal, so there's no problem with it.
Cameroonians who are eager to go into another election this time around, the twin election, that is the municipal and legislative election, were thinking that maybe there was some violation of the law at yet another extension. Yeah, you say it's legal. Does it in the same way mean that the president can again extend this mandate after it gets expired in December and extend it again and again?
It's however unfortunate because, you know, parliamentarians represent the people through through direct votes. You know, the parliamentarians are the voices of the community. So if the President of the Republic, after the expiration of that mandate, if the President of the Republic decide to continue exercising his prerogative of prolongation, I think there is an abuse of legitimacy. The people who voted these parliamentarians for 5 years expected that they should step down or maybe give accountability, and if possible, they vote another person. But now, when the President of the Republic takes upon himself to prolong their mandate, I think he's indirectly infringing or breaching the powers of the people. So to me, it's not a proper thing to do, because when 5 years has expired, the people have another, they want to vote in another person. I'll sanction those who they thought were not properly representing their constituency. So when the president decides to prolong, it indirectly affects the people, and I think that's where there is this high talks about this prolongation.
Beyond your well-known quality, personality as a human rights defender in Cameroon, you are also a political actor and a political leader, a member of an opposition political party that is also being represented at the National Assembly. We've noticed from reactions that the opposition seem not to be okay with this. Then what then is the worry of the opposition in this case specifically?
Yes, you first of all agree with me that our present National Assembly, the ruling CPDM is in majority. We have an obvious majority. So I think that the opposition will have loved maybe to overthrow this tendency. So by this prolongation, it just tells you that we'll continue to overflow in the obvious majority, CPDM obvious majority, and any law that they want to pass can easily pass. So that is why you see the opposition are disturbed, because they thought that after the last ended presidential election, that saw a reawakening of the people ambitious will to make things change. There is this effervescence that they want to maybe overthrow or take the majority in parliament. So this prolongation just comes again to hit another hammer on the long pill that the Cameroonians are already suffocating on. So to me, as an opposition leader, it is not something to encourage. We would have loved to go in for this election, but we should not also forget that it's not something that is new. I think since the year 2007, we have witnessed repeated prolongations of the mandates of parliament. So it's now becoming just like a routine. I think political actors who are conscious should have been expecting that, because it's a defined strategy that is in favor of the ruling CPDM.
Now, unfortunately, Barrister, we are caught up by time there. We will be coming back to you subsequently to understand just how the opposition has been preparing and will continue to prepare even when this extension has been done. And we're hoping that maybe elections might be holding in December or sometime early next year. That was Barrister Tamfo Richard, who is a political actor but also a human rights defender, who joined us from his chambers in the heart of the city of Douala. We thank him very much for his time. Thanking you too, ladies and gentlemen, for staying connected to Equinoxe Television. We urge you to stay with us. This is not all for news. Our next edition of news will come up in 2 hours. That will be at 8 p.m. in the English language. But interesting programs continue on your #1 television network. As for me, Rendezvous is taken for tomorrow, same time, on same platform. Have a nice evening.